These are our ID. Okay, so we're going to also see like okay. Na kuna kabisa na hao simu wanapiga. Yeah. Dala FM walendo na kutoka no walendo na kutoka Boro nukta Aboro FM manakaka Felix gi father no senyisi one called Awi Marbedo called governor mar county ma Kakamega Mulur Makende Wycliffe Oparanya. Wycliffe Oparanya ose makulemo mupogoro pogore pacho kaendi osebedo jakom mar council of governors, osebedo jatelo mar Lake Region Economic Block. Bende kane pok odonjo weche mag devolution ne en jatend migawo kata minister mochung' ne weche go eko mag national planning to gi weche go eko mag omenda. Omiyo wabiro twak e weche mopogore opogore. En jalup jatelo kata jalup ogai mar duond mar ODM e piny mar Kenya. Omiyo ageno ni wabiro loso maber kendo wabiro twak e weche go eko mag dongruok kawuok e Dala FM. It's a good morning to all our listeners wherever they are. Yes. It is our privilege and pleasure to host you today. And we have none other than the governor of Kakamega County, His Excellency Wycliffe Oparanya. Apart from being the governor of Kakamega County, you've been the chairman of Council of Governors. You've also been the chair Lake Region Economic Block. You are the chair still of Lake Region Economic Block. And before devolution, you served as a minister in charge of national and economic planning, apart from other elective positions that you held. And currently, you are the deputy party leader of ODM, Orange Democratic Movement. Before we start our discussions this morning, I'll give you the first opportunity to greet our listeners from wherever they are.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me in Dala FM 98.8. I'm very grateful to be here with you, and I want to greet all people, your listeners, who are listening to me today, and I'm privileged to be here today for the first time.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Just to start us off, recently there was a church function in Butere. Butere is within your area of jurisdiction. There has been a constant debate on church and politics. There is a breed of politicians who have the view that church should not be used as a political forum. There is a breed of politicians who have the view and have practiced the art of using church as a political platform. What is your position on this in relation to what happened in Butere?
First of all, Butere is my own home sub-county within Kakamega County. And you remember very well, I've been a member of parliament for Butere constituency from the year 2002 to the year 2013 when I became governor. I happen to be an Anglican member, and this function was very important to me as an Anglican, and it is because of that I invited the Archbishop Olesobit in my home for dinner and he came with other bishops, 7 bishops, plus himself, plus other support staff. And during that discussion, he indicated clearly that he knew that I had invited quite a number of politicians. I told him I had invited Baba, I had invited my colleagues, governors, I had invited Governor Jason White, Governor Charles Ngilu, and I had also invited Governor Mutua, Mutua of Machakos, but unfortunately Mutua could not make it. And we discussed at length, and he indicated to me that he's very upset with what was happening in the church. Um, their support to defend corruption as a church. Church should be a clean place. But it seems it is now the church promoting corruption. Politicians come there with a lot of money, and even cited cases where people in the pulpit, like bishops, they are given cars, new cars, in fact, when they are installed. And he thought for a big church like Anglican Church and being the head of the church, he will not support such action. So it was not a surprise to me when he announced it, and because he had already warned me. And when Baba came, I told him he will not have a chance to speak. So Baba had already prepared himself that he was not going to speak. But that particular day, the other opponents of ours had ferried people, and I knew they were wasting their money. They had ferried many people to come there to cheer them, to come there and boo others. But I knew they were wasting their money because they would not be given a chance to speak, and because they had spent a lot of money transporting people, and that's what disappointed them. That when the Archbishop announced that there will be no chance to any politician to speak, they walked out. That was unfortunate for them, and it happens that even the church leadership knows people who speak politics, who talk about others, which is quite unfortunate.
Thank you, Deputy Party Leader. From what you've said, it's something that you knew about,
Yeah.
and therefore it did not take you by surprise. That is fine. Is it something that you think the church should escalate, or it should end at Butere?
Let me tell you, I support it, and you have known my politics. When I talk about politics, I don't talk about others, I don't abuse others, and I think the church should be a respected place for prayer and nothing else. If you want to support the church, you can do it quietly. Why do you need to go there and announce? We give offertories to the church, but we do not announce. We don't know how much I have put, whether I put a million, whether I put 1 shilling. We do not announce. So me, I support what the Anglican Church position they have taken, and I'm also happy that even the Catholics are for the Bishop of Jerry, Diocese of the Catholic, also issued a statement supporting what the Anglican leadership had announced.
Thank you, Bwana Governor. Let's now move slightly to politics. As the Deputy Party Leader of ODM, there was the secret convention, and you had a declaration. What we can pick from your statement is that you've always supported the party leader in different ways politically, and you still have the desire to support him. What did that actually mean?
You know very well that I'm a deputy party leader, and as a person, I have also a desire to ascend into the leadership of this country. I am one of the pioneer member of ODM. At that time, I was now member number 7 when I established ODM. I entered into politics in 2002 on NAC ticket at that time. And that time, although I was not a member of Fort Kenya, but I was very close to then Wamalwa Kijana, who was a very close friend of mine. So when Wamalwa Kijana passed on, I decided now to move to LDP and to start that time supporting Raila Amolo Odinga, because at that very brief time I was in Parliament for nearly a year. I demand Raila was stood for and what he stands for at this moment. So I moved to LDP, and then thereafter in 2012, when we after the referendum of 2005, when ODM was formed, I was one of the pioneer members. I became a pioneer member and just a chairman of Kakamega, of Butere constituency. Therefore, when Mudavadi moved to form UDF, then we held an election and I became deputy party leader, the position I hold up to now. You know, the few lawyers, and I can say without any contradiction that I'm the most senior lawyer who have stood with the Baba all this time. I've not wavered at all. I've continued to support him. And recently, when we had a Central Committee meeting, which is chaired by Papa, is a committee of about 13 members, top members, we agreed that those who are interested or who have presidential ambition apply for consideration through our normal conference, the NDC, National Delegates Conference, that happens to select or elect who will be our presidential bearer. You know very well, I gave in my subscription, which was required $1 million shillings, and I put in the forms. But the forms were not processed, citing our National Election Board, citing that it was not an opportune time for us to campaign, because we campaign, go around the counties, convince delegates to come and vote for us. So they were not processed. In the process, we have had consultations at the party level, who is the stronger candidate that can we put forward. At this moment, you know very well that Baba has not declared that he's going to stand for presidency, although he's now trying to, through his unity, as Miola Umoja, is trying to put the country together. You know, this country of ours is divided on tribal line. So he's trying, and that's why you have seen him come to Kakamega. We have been in Nakuru together. We were in Homa Bay together. He came to Kakamega, and yesterday he was in Kajiado. Reaching up to in time, we will make a decision who will be the flag bearer of ODM. But I have stood with Papa, and I will continue. If he declares that he wants to be the candidate, with this age and with this respect I have, I will definitely support it. But I also expect when my time comes and then he should also support me the way I've stood with him.
That is in order, law, natural justice.
Yeah.
As ODM's deputy party leader and as a key member of the society, ODM members in this region, let me say the Luonyaza region, are seeing you as the bridge that they can use to reach the Western nation. And Western nation here, I mean the lawyer community and the other people who are living in that particular region. Now, I don't want to term it or view it as a division among the lawyers, but I want to see it as an open democratic space among the lawyer nation. And that is why we have different and several political parties. We have different leaders who are also having similar ambition. do you view this as a weak point as you become the ODM's bridge to Western, or is it a strength?
I could say this is a strength. Me, my politics has been beyond tribal lines. I believe in democracy. I do not believe in tribalism. This country, unfortunately, breed tribalism. And that's why all the time you hear of regional kingpins coming up. And for a long time, people have been thinking that Musalia Mudavadi is the kingpin of the Luyas. The Luya history is very long. Luya have 18 sub-tribes, or I can call it sub-clans, major sub-clans. And we in fact, before all our locations, all our constituency were based on those sub-clans. Out of the 18 sub-clans, the Bukusus are the majority. I would say that they are nearly a million, and the Maragolis are about 600. And then the rest, because the Luyas, we are about over about 6 million. We were 5.6 million last population. So you can see that the other Luyas are beyond, put the two, are about 80%. Them, two of them, just form 20%. So because of that, and all the politics, the Luya politics, have been revolving around the two sub-clans, the Bukusus and the Maragolis. There have been infight between the two. And this started a long time ago because of the Quaker Church, which was headquartered in Bungoma. And then the Maragolis fought and moved also to Maragola. And then there was a split. And that split has continued to date. But these other sub-clans have now realized that the two have not taken us any far as a community. Because while they are the majority in singly, but put together, we are still the majority. And I have been on the forefront to see that the other Luyas unite, including them. We need them. These people, these two guys, Sali and Wetangula, have been around for a long time, and they have never had an impact on the politics of Kenya. They're always in the middle, on the fence, and they don't make a decision. And that's why I have come out strongly. They have called me, I support Luo, but I've told them I'm a democratic, I like Raila, and I will stand with him. And I will want all the Luyas to stand with Raila Odinga.
Thank you, Bwana Governor. Now, talking of your support to Raila Odinga, which some may brand as supporting the Luos, but you are supporting Kenyans.
Yes.
Just like you have interest,
Yeah.
Kenyans from this region may also support you.
Yeah.
Now, you are a deputy party leader. There have been this series of meetings that the President of the Republic of Kenya has been holding with party leaders. Fortunately, you've been part of this meeting. What is the main agenda?
You see, some people have wondered why I've been attending those meetings. You know, we have two principles of handshake. There are two principles, and the principles are Raila Amolo Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. These are the principles. So they are there at the top. But unfortunately, these other leaders, when they want to go and have a meeting, they relegate Raila to be a regional leader, like they are. So Raila has now said that is not going to be anymore. So on any issue to do with ODM, I will be there. So I was there actually representing ODM. That's how I ended myself, and that's why I continue to have. I would say that there are issues that we discussed in that meeting that I will not want to discuss here.
It's fine.
But in general terms, uh, what the president wanted is unity, and that's why I think they had discussed with Raila that he wants to leave a legacy where this country is together, and he was of the view that the regional leaders who are there, those who have major parties, come together. As we might have different parties, we might have different opinions, but it is important that we come together. And that's what the president was preaching to them. Come together this time, support one of you. And he never said support so and so. Huh? You know, when we came out of there, the newspapers were saying that the president had said they support Raila Amolo Odinga. No, that was not the issue. He said, come together. The country is happy when we are together the way we are here, and support one of you if you want to prosper. You know very well my differences with my deputy, and I would want one of you to be the president of this country when I leave. That the discussion was around there.
That's crystal clear. Now, ODM as a party is currently conducting membership registration. As a deputy party leader, what is your target?
As you know, ODM is the largest party we have at the moment. Jubilee used to be large last election, but unfortunately, after the split, now we have two Jubilee. One Jubilee of the deputy president, which went to UDA, and then we have the Jubilee of Uhuru Kenyatta. So ODM remains as the largest party at the moment. We have about 80 members of parliament, we have several governors and so on. But I think because of our strategy in the past, we have lost some seats, like in Western, Kakamega was sold. We were sold to you to ANC. Bungoma was sold to Fort Kenya. Trans Nzoia was sold to Fort Kenya. Vihiga was sold to ANC, and it's only Busia that remained at for ODM. But at that moment, since I was not at the top of the politics, I was just now looking for the governorship. I didn't have anything to say. But this is not going to happen anymore at the moment. Now, it will be free for all. If those other political parties decide to come to be with us, there will be free and fair nomination, and each party will be free to bring their own candidates. We have started serious recruitment process, and I will urge all members of ODM, wherever they are, to register as members. But what is critical, my friend, is that leave alone the membership, but the registration as a voter is even more critical. Because there are people who will register as ODM members, but you will find them again voting for an independent party or for someone close of relationship and here and there. What is important is that we register, the mass registration of voters is starting next month in October. So we must come out. And you saw last election, the average turnout in Western Kenya, Nyanza and Western, was just around 75%. While the voter turnout in Rift Valley and in Mount Kenya, it was over 90%, which means our people register and they also know the vote. And you can see even the figures that are appearing in the papers today. We have more potential of people who have not registered in Western Kenya than any other place. So I will urge them to register in large numbers so that if we decide on who will be our presidential candidate at the moment, Raila is a front runner. We support him.
Thank you, Governor. Now, ODM is a party with the majority members from this particular region. The challenge that ODM normally has is as a leader, and I want to ask you candidly, so many people, especially in this Luo Nyanza, get dissatisfied with the nomination process, either because as voters they have not the expression, which is their democratic right, has not been upheld. Somebody else is given the certificate, or alternative nomination process is bungled and it ends up in selection. I want to refer to an incident in Peter constituency where the party leader said that what people should know is that nomination is not election. And as a party, they may take more time in vetting aspirants than allowing all aspirants, of course, with money to buy voters and win nomination. What did that actually mean as a party?
First of all, let me tell you that it's a concern to the ODM leadership. It's a major nomination, it's a major concern. And that's why immediately after the last election, 2017, we appointed a committee under the current chair, chair of the National Election Board. And maybe that's why we also decided he should be there to look at these particular nomination problems. And they found out that ODM, where ODM is very popular, there is a lot of fighting for the nomination, because people assume that when you have got ODM nomination, especially in lowland and other regions of Western, it's an automatic you are as elected. But that's now not the issue anymore. And she came up with a recommendation. What has been the problem is that there are other people who are interested to stand on ODM. They don't support the party the entire 5 years. And then they wait. During nomination, they appear with a lot of money. And from our history, when such a people go to parliament, they even don't contribute to the party. Their commitment to the party is not there. And you know, a party is about loyalty. What is the loyalty of these members to the party? And that's why we have said that this time around, it's not just going to be nomination. We will look at you as a person. You want to be a party member. You want to get nomination of the party. How loyal have you been to the party? Because that's critical. Members of parliament is a critical mass that holds the party together. So if you have disloyalty within the party, then you have a problem. So we can select candidates based on your loyalty and commitment to the party. We can do opinion polls if we see very close competition and see who is more popular and give you even direct nomination. But where we see that you are very strong, both of you or three of you are strong, then we allow free and fair nomination, which means now we have decided to come up with various methods of nomination. But party loyalty is important. That those people who wait for the last minute, who have not identified themselves with the party, or who cross from the other party last minute, we are not going to favor them. No. So that is the position.
That is clear. And that confirms. My question is compounded with another issue that is currently in the Luo Nyanza region, especially among the ODM party members. If, for instance, and I'm using their names out of good faith, Senator James Orengo has interest to vie for Siaya gubernatorial seat, then you will just get the Siaya people crying that Orengo is better in parliament. He should be there, recycle and retain in parliament, because the young thugs that are elected sleep in parliament. They are never heard, they don't contribute, they don't debate, so they have no agenda apart from managing constituency development fund. And that cuts across the entire Luo region. Why is it possible for the party just to identify strong people who are politicians who can be elected as members of parliament, then the rest who are managers like yourself be elected as governors and deputy governors?
Let me say, you have used a good example of James Orengo. James Orengo is a close friend of mine, very close. We are close as friends, and I like his commitment to the party. You remember the other day when they had a problem about the party, I had been with, and I had to put them together with Baba. So that issue and Ugenda Amolo,
Yes.
was actually resolved, and Ugenda got back his seat. I have told Orengo, and it's on record, that Orengo is better off being a senator, better off being at the national level. Because at that national level, he will be able to support the party, he will be able to support Baba, he will be able to support us as senior members of the party. But sometimes, politics is about personal interest. I have been a governor for the last 9 years. And being a governor, especially in the rural area, when you have been staying in Nairobi for a long time, all your life, it becomes very tricky. And a governor is a hands-on job where sometimes you have to sit down for 14 hours, trying to resolve issues, trying to go through papers and so on. I strongly feel that James Orengo, and I want you to go to record, is better off being a senator the way he is than being a governor. But I've said, of course, personal interest. I don't know his personal interest or what has made him like to be a governor to replace my friend Rasanga.
Yes, I brought up that issue because it is something common among the voters. If you go to Homa Bay,
Yeah.
many ordinary voters like Gladys Wanga.
Yeah.
And they say she has worked well in terms of development and in terms of politics. But they would prefer her to be in the National Assembly than to be a governor. So that is something that you as a party should consider as you vet your potential.
It's good you have given me this issue. I had not thought of it. I was thinking about it at personal level, advice at personal level to advise Orengo. But since you have brought it, that it's an issue that people are thinking about it, I think this is an issue that we can discuss as a party.
Okay. Away from party matters and politics, let's now go administrative, and I'll take you to Kakamega County. I'm not quite sure, but you will inform me. As a rural governor, you are a pioneer in devolution. And I want to use Buhungu Stadium as an example, which is credited to the county government of Kakamega. What I'm not sure is whether the national government chipped in or it was your sole financial responsibility.
They have not chipped in even a 5%.
Good. So the whole credit goes to you.
Yes.
How did you make it? Because it is something unique. The national government could not deliver the promised stadia in their first term, but you, as a county government, delivered a modern stadium that has been emulated by several counties.
Let me tell you that Kenya, the problem we have in Kenya is that we have good plans, but implementation is zero. We come up with good plans and they end up in the shelf. no implementation. Even our plans as we got independent, they are the ones being used in Singapore. You go to Singapore, you see when they got independent, at the time of independence, our GDP was at the same level. Now, they are over 100 times our place. Because as executive, we do not spend time planning. You better spend more time planning than implementation. Because if you are planned well, then implementation becomes a problem. Implementation becomes easy. You can see now the stadium that was built here by the national government here in Kisumu is called International Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, International Stadium, the National Stadium. I don't know. Go and look at that and go and look at Buhungu. Which one is more international? The other day when I met the president, I told him I would like a stadium like Wembley, and we can achieve it. Even if we have 4 or 5 of them, eh, then there is no need of having 47 of them, one per county. 47 the Wembley level. Have 4 of them. Then have supporting stadia, like the one we have in Kisumu. They support those where teams can come in this region, and then they use them for practice. But you cannot call this stadium here at our level. That is an international stadium constructed by the national government. 600 million shillings. How will you use 600 million to construct an international stadium? My stadium there, when I started, I involved FIBA. The FIBA officials came there. They looked at the design and told me subtract this, add this, subtract this. And when it was being implemented, it's being done in phases. They were all the time being invited. They say, no, demolish here, do this, do this, do this, so that it can qualify as in an international stadium. This stadium you have here, the top World Cup cannot use it. But me, I'm constructing a stadium where if World Cup, even if it comes here 50 years to come, they will be able to take that stadium and use it, renovate it that time and use it. They cannot use this stadium you have here. So it involves a lot of plan. And what do you want? Do something that people will think for you forever. When you decide, don't do so many things. Don't keep on. If people want water and you are singing boreholes everywhere, 3 million, 2 million, people don't feel that. Go for a major project, water, spend 200 million, and then connect a lot of people. Borehole, maintenance, electricity bills becomes a problem. So do a project that people will appreciate, a project that will create employment for the people, and that's what I did with Buhungu Stadium.
Thank you. Now, you had an opportunity to serve as the chair of Council of Governors for 2 terms.
Yes.
Are these some of the issues that you discussed in your forum so that you compare notes? Your colleagues benchmark. Instead of going to benchmark abroad or overseas, they can benchmark in Kakamega for us to replicate or do better than Buhungu.
As chairman of the Council of Governors, you chair your equals. You chair your equals as chairman. And when you are chairing your equals, it's different when you have authority over them. So the work of the council is mainly coordination, to make sure that there is coordination between national government and county government, and coordination within the counties themselves, because there are issues that affect counties. How quick can we get a solution? And also comparison. Where is a good example? We have Marifa Center at the Council of Governors. You can go there and say, now stadium, which is the best stadium among they will say Buhungu. So you go to Bongo. Where do we have agricultural practice? Where is it best? Oh, it is in Homa Bay. So you then go Homa Bay and look at it. So it is very difficult to dictate what other counties will do. But there is that provision that you can go to Marifa unit within the Council of Governors and look at what is happening. So I cannot go there and tell my fellow governors that this is what you are supposed to do. No, 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 no. That cannot happen now because you are the chairman of equals.
Thank you. Now, still as a former chair, there is the annual devolution conference. What is its role and what has it achieved so far?
Devolution conference is unfortunate that we have not had it for the last 2 years, and it's because of COVID. And the one that we were supposed to have in Makweni last month, it was deferred last minute because of the same COVID. But devolution conference was meant to be a conference that we will also share best practices. That's what I have just told you, best practices. Because every county, usually you give 2 to 3 projects. And those 2 3 projects are filled. And all of these projects, they are now viewed. They are put there. You say, these are good hospitals that have been constructed in Kakamega. So in our Ghana to happen elsewhere. Eh? This good agricultural practices from there. These are good educational initiative in such a county. So that devolution conference achieves that. Secondly, we also invite people from outside to tell us how they view devolution, whether we have done well as governor or how or if we have done badly. Like you will see, most of them say that now corruption has been devolved to counties, from the national to counties. So we look at ourselves and governors and evaluate ourselves. How have we performed on issues to do with corruption? It is also a bonding session because that is where now the president comes, addresses the the deputy president does the same, and the former prime minister. Those are the key 3 people who are given a chance to address. And you find that ministers, CSS at the national level are also invited. So it's also a bonding session to put the country together, to show that the executive, both at the national government and the county, is working together towards a common goal of making sure that there is proper welfare for our people in this country.
Thank you. As a pioneer governor of Kakamega County, this may be management and politics. So many governors have got issues with their deputies. I don't know what happens. But Kakamega has had no issue with the deputy. And to some extent, it is rumored that you are the only governor who wants to support his deputy to ascend to governorship. What is the secret?
Now, let me tell you that even me, when I selected my deputy, he was a professor. He's a professor. I got him from JQuat. I'm not a professor myself. So I wasn't worried of inferiority complex. If I was worried of that, then I wouldn't have gone for a professor who has a higher academic qualification than myself. But I took someone that I thought he could bring me from his region. That was how I looked at it. He would bring me both from his region. Number two, that with his academics, he can also improve the management because I believe in merits. He will also improve the management of the county. And that's what I looked at. And when we came together, I gave him responsibility. I gave him responsibility. I even made him to be in charge of agriculture, the CEC. in charge of agriculture. I saw he was too much in it also because he has a PhD in agriculture. I saw then I removed him so that now he can have the whole spectrum. And now I've made him in charge of implementation of all projects, and is in charge of service delivery. So all implementation. So I'm off the hands. And when I was chairman of the Council of Governors, I left him the county to run. Eh? So we have never had problem. But if you have a governor who does not give responsibility to the deputy, that's how problems start. Because remember, the deputy governor is also paid. So why will you have someone there seated, eh, is doing nothing, and you are paying the fellow? This is like stealing public funds. Eh? And you try to involve him in everything because you must also prepare your successor. Is good. The way Uhuru Kenyatta is doing, while you don't favor, but you see, you need proper succession. So I have no problem with my deputy at all. I've never had a problem with him. If I see there is something wrong, we sit together, we sort it out, and we move on. But there are other governors who have egos, They don't want to delegate, they all assume them and so on. And that's why I will urge future governors, before you select someone to be deputy, know the character of that person so that you can work together. Because sometimes if you just pick someone that he has been brought to you by someone and you don't know his character, then that creates this problem that we have in some areas.
Thank you, Bwana Governor. Now, let's expand from Kakamega to the whole region. Lake Region Economic Bloc.
Yeah.
You are the chair.
Yes, I'm the chair.
What is the sole objective of this economic bloc?
Some counties are small. And when you are small, the economies of scale is an issue. So our first aim, and Raguma here was the first chair, when we came up with Lake Region. I'm the second chair, and I've held the seat for the last 4 years. Now, the essence of this was to create economies of scale. And also, as a region, it became a good forum for comparison. What is happening in Kakamega? What is happening in Bungoma? What is happening in Migori? So that we can make sure that this region, as Lake Region, the 14 counties, there is some improvement in terms of development. We wanted even to come together and have a bank that will help our people. Unfortunately, we could not get approval from Central Bank. I think someone somewhere thought that now we were growing horns and never approved the bank. So that is the essence. And we came up and selected our major projects that we were to aim at. One was that bank. We needed the lake region, the lake, this Lake Victoria, to be developed so that the fish that is there, you see, it's not full developed. We are sitting on gold. We wanted a ring road around the lake, because we eat a lot of fish. Even in Kakamega, we eat a lot of fish. But if the source is not well developed, then it became a problem. You saw the other day, I came up with the fish factory. So that was another aim. We wanted to conserve the environment within our region, so that if there is flow of water, there is flow of rivers and so on, we conserve the environment. That was very, very critical. So those are the issues that we looked at. Unfortunately, we have not moved on as we intended because funding became a problem. The control of budget plus the treasury, we have all the time told them to give us a framework, because It's not only Lake Region Economic Block. There are other blocks. We are in total 6 economic blocks. It has been very difficult to transfer money from Kakamega to the Lake Region Economic Block. The money that we get only comes from well-wishers, development partners who support us, like the Rockefeller Foundation has given us quite a bit of money to run the lake. We have also now harmonized this region. Eh? We talk with one voice at the moment, I can tell you. Even politically, eh? We talk with one voice. And I think this is what has threatened the national government, that these people, they are coming into blocks that can be a threat to the national government. But there was no threat. Our aim mainly was economic. We had even thought that we could have in the future railway lines, light railway line connecting the entire region. We wanted to make business easier for our people. So if Matatu has a sticker in Kakamega, it is able to go throughout the region without getting the second sticker. So that you make business affordable. But you see the way it is, if it comes here in Kisumu, it has to pay. If it goes to Homa Bay, it has to pay. But we were saying now within our region, if you have a sticker within the region from one county, you are able to go to the 14th county without a problem. If you have chicken and you want to sell and you are from Bomet and you have paid your tax in Bomet, you have evidence, you are bringing it to Kisumu, then you don't need to pay. So that's what we are doing, economic, to empower our people, make our people do business in an easier way.
That is good, Bwana Governor. Now, you faced funding challenges.
Yeah.
As a block, or as the think tanks behind the block, do you have a contingency plan to counter the funding challenge?
We have one at the Council of Governors when I was chairman. We instituted a legislation that will take care of economic blocks, and this legislation was upscaled up to the Ministry of Devolution. The legislation is already, it has gone to the cabinet. Unfortunately, it is stuck at the cabinet as I speak now. We have found also ways of getting few funds here and there within the system, which I cannot talk here openly, but we have found, and that's why we can see we are able to do one or two things here and there. But I'm hopeful that we are going to form the next government. When we form the next government, that should be one of our first agenda. Make sure that we empower economic blocks, because you are not bringing money from government to them, but they themselves, and they are able to use the money that they get. They have their own budget allocations within their county, so that that money is put together, and they can do wonders in their own regions.
Yes, agriculture is a major component of economic activity in the region. I want to narrow to the sugar industry. The sugar industry that was there in this region is not the sugar industry that is there now. So many challenges, so many competitors who are not doing the right thing either to the farmer or to the employees, and the government has more than twice tried to intervene. Things are not working out. Mumias went down, quite unfortunate. Sony sugar is almost going down, quite unfortunate. The ones in Nyando Sugar Belt, Moroni, Miwani, Chemelil, you know the story. Where is the problem? And is there a solution?
Let me start by saying that the sugar sector, the model we came up with as a government, was wrong. If you look at the sugar factories that have collapsed, are government owned, or government has shareholding. The private ones that have in Kakamega, and these factories have collapsed because we had wrong measures. That is one. Number two, because of corruption. When you put someone there, that is his time to eat with his community. That's what has brought these factors down. People who are appointed from the political class, people who have lost elections, they are taken in the sugar sector to manage them. Obviously, these are people who are thirsty to feel where they had taken their money previously. And this is what has collapsed the sugar sector. It was worse when now we repealed the Sugar Act in 2013, when the Sugar Act was repealed. Sugar Act was repealed, Sugar Development Fund Levy Act was also repealed. That's what gave the sugar sector. So it became now free for all, an important sector without any legislation. It became very difficult to, to attract private investors into it. I remember in 2013, the president appointed me as his chair task force, and we held several meetings, 62 meetings, and I can tell you that unless the sugar sector goes back to the private sector, government is not a good manager when it comes to business. Government can only provide regulations, provide legislation, create conducive environment for business, private business to thrive. So long as government, and they can own strategic parastatals like Kenya Airports Authority, because for security reasons, you need government there. Kenya Ports Authority, because it's an entry. They can own those ones. They can provide those. But that business, government has no business to run sugar companies. Sugar companies must be in private hands and leave it to the private sector. When it came now to listen, because this was one of our recommendations, we have sugar barons in this country who have factories, but those factories are not even operating halfway to the optimum. They are not operating the optimum. They are used just for importation of sugar, and they pack it. And when sugar is imported, then our farmers suffer. They have no activity at all because the sugar you're bringing is. So those sugar barons, and some of them own as many as 5, 6 factories. But those sugar, if you go there, they are not operating. And when Mumias was nearly being privatized through the leasing arrangement, these are the same people who sponsored politicians from Kakamega there to go to court to call whoever was supposed to invest to the Senate. And this is a company which is under receivership. The receivership laws are clear. So the first problem is the government itself. And then the government has removed legislation. There are no regulations. Secondly, the government supports this sugar baron because there are these sugar baron who finance the election. So when after election is now to give back because we have helped you to go in power, then we must give back. So long as government, and I can tell you, Government is in the sugar sector. We will never go anywhere. Even decision now, why are they not making a decision that now this Moroni, Sony should be privatized, should be supported? Because they are waiting for the election. The same people who finance the election are there. Otherwise, the government has the power to say, this is a parastatal. It has not been making profit. Let me offload it to the private sector.
That is good, Your Excellency. Now, there are two schools of thoughts when it comes to the sugar menace in the country: leasing, going private, and remaining as a state corporation or a parastatal. Now, some of the farmers have this opinion, it may be true or false, that the private players in the sugar industry are not honest. One, they underway. Two, they don't support cane development. Three, they poach. So they think that government is a grand solution. They are safer in the limping government than going the private way. Because what you said is that some of the private players are the sugar barons that have industries or factories that do not operate, they import. Remember, what they import is unprocessed sugar. And some of the unprocessed sugar finds its way to the market. And suspecting consumers will buy. And that automatically is fatal. So that is their fear. Another fear is from the employees of the state corporations. Like, so what happened to Mumias, Moroni, and the rest? If the factories are leased or privatized, what is their fate? You've been a particular task force. What is their fate? Do they have a safe landing spot? And number three, to enable you to respond, the politicians you mentioned are messed. One, it is true, failed politicians have been appointed to be the chair of these boards. And without any ill feeling, I can even mention one as an example. Before Sony Sugar Board was dissolved, which you are aware of, former Migori Member of Parliament, Obino Lekoa, was appointed as the chair. Nothing happened. Things didn't move. Then the former MD left. Legawa is now in an acting capacity. Sony is still limping. So the fear that you said is there. Then these same politicians are the barons. They trade behind the private sugar investors that we know, but I don't need to mention them. So it is a total mess. It is a total mess. And this is our backbone as an economic bloc.
Thank you for that. This is an area I'm an expert. I'm an expert because I was involved in the sugar task force. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to all stakeholders, including the national government, including the farmers, the employees, and even the millers themselves. And even we talked to the World Bank who are in this sector. So we got a lot of information. The fear that people have, the farmers have, that the private sector will be underway, the private sector will not support them in terms of sugar development, is a false thought. And that's why I have said all these things have been happening because there's no legislation. Because it has also been happening because there are no proper regulations. And that is the work of the government to make sure there is legislation that will favor the farmers. There are regulations that will favor the farmers and the employees. Because if it's underway, you just pass a legislation that where the weighing street is, farmers must be represented. This will take care of the farmers' fear. Or let the sugar be weighed in the field where the farmer himself is there. So he can see. So it is a matter of legislation to remove all this fear. On employees because of leasing. You as an employee, you are worried that if this farm is leased, then you will not be taken care of. You have been there. You have lost employment, like Mumias, for the last 10 years. You are never paid your salary. You are laid off, and your salary is still outstanding. Unless now you leave this farm to start operating, for you now to go and at least demand your money, because now the company is operating. But if you continue opposing the leasing, the company will not operate. How will you get your money?
Not possible.
And you see, I should tell Kenya, the world is changing. The way of doing business is changing. Technology is now dominating. We should give a chance to leasing. Leasing is not safe. We are saying we give a company 5 years. In these 25 years, the company will start operating. And if you are even an employee, there are so many ways of benefiting from a company. You can benefit as a farmer. You can benefit by setting up a business where proprietary will come to your business and you do your own business and make money. You can benefit as an employee of the company. So this leasing arrangement, and I was part of the team that drafted the structure of leasing. If you look at that, the issue of employees is taken care of. But I'm telling you, we will never lease this company so long as this are around. And so long as the current government is listening to this Kukaparo, because I've done business with them, it becomes a problem.
Now, the last aspect, raw sugar gets its way into the country. And Kenya are consuming. Dr. Matiang'i tried to put a stop, but somehow, somewhere, it ended. We still have it in the market.
Let me tell you, so long as the sugar bar and so long as the government is still listening to the sugar bar, here, you saw even sugar laced with some, what was it, mercury or something. We shall have anything here. And the government that is coming in must make sure that it does not detain sugar bar. So long as you detain them, nothing will happen. Because these people are just bringing in sugar and making profits without hassling with farmers. All the time, your farmers are on strike. What a tractor? Why can't I just import? And you know when you import, you don't touch anything. It is just paperwork, and you get a check.
Now, done with the issues of management, devolution, and the rest, a little bit, few minutes into politics, then we take questions from our listeners. As a party, are you looking forward to any coalition before 2022?
That is obvious. There is no party in the country that can win election on its own. You must have a coalition. And that coalition can be before or after for you to form a government. Even us as ODM, we are already in negotiation with other parties. And this is not a secret. I can say we are in consultation with Jubilee, the Uhuru Kenyatta Jubilee. We are already in negotiation with them. We are already in negotiation with PNU, the one of Munya. We are already discussing. and many others. And we have said, since we know that OCA, they are going nowhere, we have also said, can we come together and discuss? But not as NASA, because NASA is no more. But they can come and we discuss, either individually or as OCA, because they are going nowhere. In the politics, there is no third force. For us in Mbili. So, this is the thing.
Okay. In politics, there is no third force.
Yeah.
There is somehow, to the general perspective, there is somehow some cold feet. The former NASA principles, where we have Kalonzo and we have Moses, then we have Wetangula. Is it a delinquent to confuse one horse so that the horse does not over concentrate on a more powerful horse that will be unveiled?
You see, these people, when they were in NASA, they might have had a problem among themselves. Because my interaction with them, they said that, Barrett said that it not stand, that ODM will not have a candidate in 2022. Then I asked them, who signed that? Raila is not ODM. ODM has membership all over the country. So if Raila committed himself to that, that was it. Because that would have required NDC to make such a decision. So maybe if you put Raila in a corner and decide on that, that was unfortunate. Because how can you say ODM, which is the biggest party, cannot have a candidate? In Luya, we say that it is small rivers that flow into big rivers. If a big river flows into a small one, then floods are there. People will die. And that's why we are saying these other parties are small, are village parties. Where does ANC have support? It's only here Western. Where it's 14 members of parliament. 40 Kenya, still the same with the members of parliament. Wiper is in Kakamega, only 27 members of parliament. ODM has over 80 members. So how can you expect ODM to go and support a party of 12? Will that be fair to the membership?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So that's why we are saying, if they want us to win this election first thing in the morning, is that we must unite. But let us unite, sit on the table, even 4 of them as principals. Now, as we also imagine, we must be given a chance to sit there and decide whoever, but under now a different setup, not using their regional party as a bargaining chip. No.
There is something that we cannot take for granted, and you use the word you people are emerging. The emerging leaders, where we have Governor Oparanya, we have Governor Joe, among others. Where do you see yourself in after the current breed of politicians retire gracefully?
Let me be straight to the point. This 2022 was supposed to be ours.
Yes.
Because we have gone through training. I have managed a county for 10 years. And a county structure is a replica of the national structure. So it's like a training ground. And that's why in countries well developed like America, governors become presidents or senators become presidents because they are in charge of a county or in charge of a state. So this was our time. But unfortunately, our fathers are still there. And in our community, you can't inherit a home so long as your father is still around. So that is the problem. But now, as I have said, I will stand with Raila Amolo Odinga. And I've said he should do the same. But we are just giving them a chance of 5 years. Then I will say, I better hang myself and go away. Because we will have done our best. Even if we revolt at that time, will you not sympathize with us?
That's big sympathy. Now, I brought that issue because of one thing. There is this fear in the party. There is this fear among voters from this region, and probably among voters, ODM voters and supporters and members from other regions. After Baba, what next and who next? It is this fear that the Wycliffe Oparanyas who are emerging must restore hope among voters, among members, so that ODM is seen as a future party, but not a dimming party that may end with the retirement or exit of Baba. So what are you doing to restore hope? Because as me, as an individual, I would like to see Oparanya moving around. I would like to see Oparanya in all corners, so that this question that always confronts Mudavadi, where have you gone to in this corner of our Kenya? Is it not just Vihiga? You are confined and tethered within Vihiga. But we want to see Oparanya, the emerging leaders of ODM, the emerging leaders of the future generation, move around, interact with people, so that you become a household name.
First of all, let me tell you that I believe in a national party. And that's why I've stuck myself in ODM. I have the capacity to register my own party. I have the capacity. And some people have done so. But I have persuaded myself not to go that route. I've persuaded myself to stay in a national party. So ODM and I would want the Luos to know that ODM is not a Luo party. ODM is a national party. It has a national party and it's a Luo, but it's a national party. Which means if Raila goes, anybody else from any corner of this country can still emerge to be a leader of that party. And that's what we are trying to do. So there should be no worry that if Raila leaves, then what happens? Then you will be thinking that this being a Luo party, who other Luo will take over the party? But obviously, I'm there, and Joe is there. Any of us can emerge to be the leader of ODM. So there should be no thinking or no worry that if Raila goes, then what happens to the party? We are there, and already we have been tested. If now Oparanya comes here in Kisumu and says he's the party leader of ODM, will you doubt Oparanya? Because I have credentials behind myself.
That is true. Now, I think that will mark the end of my questions to you, which you have ably answered. I'll give the remaining opportunity to listeners who will ask questions, and you will give your response.
Okay, thank you.
Dala FM.
Hello, Dala FM.
Yes.
I'm Pastor Boy of Freedom, Barkubura Masawa. I'm glad to have had Oparanya talking and speaking to the audience and our listeners. My question is about politics in Mount Kenya. Why do many presidential aspirants trying to capture Mount Kenya? Second, whom do you think will be the running mate of Raila in the presidential race 2022? The person may come from Kenya or Western. Thank you.
Yes, Dala FM.
Yes, so I'm speaking to Brian from Kakamega.
Yes, Brian.
Greet me, Mr. Oparanya.
Good morning.
Okay. My question is this. As the deputy party leader of ODM, we are now approaching the elections and the party primaries. And so far we have seen how the ODM have been conducting their party primaries. How can the deputy party assure us today that the party primaries are going to be free and fair? Because in a state of where I'm coming from, Kakamega now, there are some aspirants who are suggesting that they are going to be given certificates, being that they don't have the big people in ODM. And the government is also sending signals to other aspirants that they should not contest with them. How are the party primaries going to be free and fair? Because some of the people have started suggesting for the third aspirants that they are going to get the party nominations. Then, second, concerning the state of politics we are now seeing in Mount Kenya, how sure can the deputy leader, Mr. Oparanya, tell us that we are next with the Mount Kenya and they are also going to give us what's coming 2022? Thank you very much.
Dala FM.
Hello.
Dala FM. Yes.
I have one question to mention you.
Yes.
Yesterday I heard that some ODM members quitted ODM. Can you tell us why? That is my question.
Okay. Dala FM.
Hello.
Yes.
Well, from Canada. Some questions are
Unbelievable.
so, like Brian Gumba's question is fake.
Okay. That's your opinion. Fine. Dala FM.
Good morning, Mr. Director.
Morning.
Say hi to the people, Governor.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
As a guy of one from Canada.
Yes.
Two issues.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me appreciate you for being loyal to this boss. Very few people do that. Where is Mr. Joho? I know he may not be there to defend himself, but I have hopes that Mr. Oparanya will let me know where Joho is. The last one, there is speculation that so many members, so many of his bearers from Kakamega, of ODM, defected. Is that a lie, a rumor, or a reality? Thank you so much.
Welcome. Let's have the last caller, then we respond to this. Dala FM. Dala FM. Dala FM.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead with your question.
I'm asking that about the voter registration.
Yes.
What is the person who gets doing to engage the youth to register as voters? Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Your Excellency, I think you can respond to this before we receive more.
Thank you very much for your questions. And the first question is why so many presidential candidates are going to Mount Kenya? One, you are aware that the Kikuyus are the majority tribe in this country, and therefore they have the highest number of voters. Definitely, if you are a presidential candidate, you will want to woo them so that you get more votes from them. Secondly, they have held the presidency for a long time, apart from Moi, when Moi came in. And they know how to vote. The vote turnout last time was over 90%. So with that, obviously, if you are a good strategist, you must make sure that you get their vote. And if I were Raila, we have not discussed this. If Raila was running, obviously I would take a running mate from Mount Kenya. I will not say I want as Oparanya because I will be selfish, because I want us to win. So if to win, sometimes you have to dispense with your ambition. So I will not say I will be running because I can deliver the Western vote to Raila whether I'm a running mate or not. So long as I promise the people of Western that we are going to be part of that government. So I would rather he takes a running mate from Mount Kenya so that we are able to lure them. Or if they see on the ballot their person is there, then that can lure them to vote for our candidate. And that's why I would recommend the decision of him getting a running mate will be his. I don't know where he will get one. But if he consulted me, I will tell him to collect from Mount, to have him from Mount Elgon. Now, Brian asked about the nomination. I think the nomination I talked at length. I don't know if he was listening to me. I want to assure him that this time around, even if you are a friend of Raila, because there are some people who mill around Raila, who mill around the first lady, and say, because I'm a friend of Raila, I'm a friend of first lady, I'm going to get the certificate. That will not happen this time round. There must be a fair play, and I'm now more freer to make sure that that does not happen. I'm freer, and I will urge Raila to concentrate on the looking for the presidential seat. Forget about the party matter to us, so that let me be in charge of about matters. Let me be in Luo land, where people don't know me properly. So I'm in charge of the nomination in Luo land, and I will make sure there is free and fair, because this is what has made our party unpopular, because people run away that with the ODM. But there are also party officials who now come and have ambitions of running for seats. They say, already I'm a party official, I have certificate. They start showing fake papers, which are not certificates, to scare off potential opponents. And this would not happen. Then he asked if Mount Kenya is safe. I think on that I've mentioned. I'm told that they have said that people are quitting as audience from Kakamega. The only person I knew who quit and who is reported now, he quit a long time ago, but now is the politics. It is Toboso, Andrew Toboso, who is my cousin, who was a member of parliament for Putere. And he quit because he was jobless. And when he saw that there was money in UDA, he went to UDA. And that happened a long time ago. I don't know why it is being reported now. But it's just being reported now because of politics, because Raila was in Kakamega on Friday, and they saw that mass, how people turned out to welcome him. So people of other parties, fringe parties in Western, are now worried. That's why the thing is being reported now. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So nobody is leaving ODM. But in any case, even if people leave ODM, others come in. The parties like a river, the water will keep on flowing. Whether you take some, the water continues flowing. So that's where is Joe? Joe is around and present. It's unfortunate that when we were in Mombasa last time, Joe was feeling unwell, and he wasn't there. He was out of the country. He was in Dubai, and then later he ended up in Turkey. He has come back, and the other day you saw him at the Senate. This weekend we are going to Mombasa. He's the one going to host us in Mombasa on Saturday. So Friday we are in Mombasa on this Azimio la Umoja. So he is there. So it's much with us. It's only that sometimes when you are unwell, you keep off sometimes to recover. But if you are even away, you have known, even sometimes it's difficult for you to be all the time there. Like I was with Raila in Nakuru, we were in Homa Bay, we have been in Western. Yesterday I missed to go to Kajiado. It doesn't mean there is something wrong. I have to do my other things also. Because remember, I'm still governor of Kakamega County until I hand over, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Now, voter registration about the youth. There will be mass registration from October. I don't know, 14th October, somewhere there. As a party, we are going to have a meeting and see how our members can be involved in voter registration. But voter registration of the youth, sensitization of the youth will be critical, more so in the region of Western, Nyanza and Luya.
We can have 2 or a maximum of 3 questions. We call it a day.
Received a reverse call.
Okay, reverse call over here. Someone is calling the reverse call.
Dala FM. Yes. Yes.
Asante sana. Jambo.
Mara nyingine nilikuwa nataka baba asiingilie mambo ya kushika mkono ya Mungu, na inafaa pia siasa ya juu kutafuta kiti ya president, sio ati anasema fulani fulani asichukulie nini upande wa baba na fulani FJ. Hiyo inafanyaga inafanya watu wanatoroka. Mimi namtuma aende aongee na baba, ashughulike na mambo ya juu, sio hata chini. Wananchi anataka analeta mkutano. Hiyo inafanya anapoteza kitu, na mara hii anataka apoteze tena, nataka apoteze tena.
That's an issue that you
Nomination.
tackle. Dala FM. Yes.
I'm still Pastor Boaz, but I have a question about eating.
Yes. Go ahead.
The Mheshimiwa talked about leaching in our sugar factories and corruption. What is the benefit for leaching? And for us as a party, as a killing our economy, what has he done as the top government official for this corruption? Why now our sugar factories are now dying? Thank you.
Welcome, the last caller. Dala FM. Okay. We don't have another caller for now.
Yeah. I think the first question about the party nomination, I think it's a very sensitive issue. We have discussed about it all along since I came here, this party nomination. And what I want to plead with aspirants, don't attempt Raila Amolo Odinga. In any case, let Raila Amolo Odinga concentrate on looking for presidency at national level. If you have any issues and you come from this region, come to Wycliffe Oparanya, who is deputy party leader. And I will be the one looking after nomination in this region. I've offered myself that job so that we have a fair play. Because me, I have no interest in a particular person. You can't say I'm here, I have a cousin here, I have so and so here. No. I will be looking at the individual. Whoever has done well, he will get party nomination. So it will be free and fair. But I've said clearly, you party aspirants, you are the one who attempt Raila. You all the time get involved with him. I've told even Raila now to stop going for funerals in Luoland. Let him go for funerals elsewhere, unless he's a very close relative. Because if he comes to a funeral of your father and you are a party aspirant, then you say, Raila came for a party, my father's funeral, and he endorsed me now as a candidate. So we don't want those excuses. The issue of leasing of cane. Leasing is not selling. And you know very well that most of these companies, which are state-owned, sit on government land. So you cannot sell government land. You can only give a lease for a particular time. So you are giving a private sector to operate it a particular time so that the government still has the control of the land. Remember, this land was taken from our communities. So the communities should not see that now the government is selling the land to another community. And when you sell the land, you do not now dictate that particular person to continue growing cane. He can now decide, you have sold me land, I can wipe off this cane and plant maize. You see? So the leasing is like you have given that person to use that land for a particular period. And if that particular period expires, the land reverts to you and you can continue leasing it to another person. So that control remains. That's why we have leasing. He has said what I have done with corruption in the sugar sector. Unfortunately, sugar sector, we have no control because this is a national asset. All these sugar companies were not under county government, were not devolved. And that's why we are saying that since now agriculture is devolved, let also these sugar companies, if it is Momias, if it's a local company, Moroni, Sony, leave it to Migori to oversee it because agriculture is devolved. But it has not happened. So I will not say that at the moment I have capacity to fight corruption within the sugar sector because these factories are still at the national government level.
Thank you, Your Excellency. For all that time, we've been hosting Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, who also happens to be the Deputy Party Leader, ODM, and also the current chair, Lake Region Economic Bloc. We've discussed diverse issues ranging from politics of the party, politics of the nation, management and development in the region, and county management as at now. And it is our sincere desire and hope that you will get another time so that you come and continue the discourse with our listeners. And
thank you very much.
so if that takes place, then we believe that all other things will be okay. It is now my pleasure to bid you bye.
Kwa heri ya kuonana. Anasema kwa heri ya kuonana. But oriti. Yeah, kwa heri ya kuonana. And I think I've been very, very clear on my issues.
Yes.
Yes.